obviously, with the various, sorry, I have to hold the mic. I talk a lot like this, like all good Egyptians, and that doesn't work with the mic, so I'll try to keep it close. So I'm just going to show you our presentation here, and if we have time, I would like to show you a demo of some of the solutions as well to show you how it's being used. Perfect. Oh. Okay. Perfect. So the title of the talk today is a full skills ecosystem to power lifelong learning. That's what we're calling it. And so just quickly take you through an agenda. I'm just going to tell you one slide or two about Blue Drop, who we are as a company, what we believe in, what we've been doing in the last 10 years in particular, although the company is about 25 years old. A little bit about the new industrial revolution. Nothing new there. I think the speakers today were really excellent in sort of laying out the challenges that everybody in this room faces in dealing with the rapid pace of change. But just a couple of statistics that we think are relevant to our technology, how we've responded, and then I'm going to give you a couple of examples of the way the technology centers, less problems with training teachers and ensuring the consistencies there. So technology is part of the problem for sure, and I know we're all reeling with how to cope with it, but I think it's part of the solution and the opportunity to leapfrog. And then at the end, if we have time, I'll show you some demos of how the technology works. So I won't get into, Blue Drop has two lines of business. We are in the province of Canada that has icebergs. That's where the Titanic sank off our coast. Not necessarily a good thing to brag about, but that's where we are. And I'll talk about our division, Blue Drop Learning Networks. This division has been about 8 years old and really about revolutionizing the way that systems deal with skills development in the workforce, not just for unemployed, but also for career learning. And it's really, we deal with governments and systems as our clients. So as Jean-Francois mentioned, we started in 1992 as a class project. I couldn't get a job as a mechanical engineering graduate, so the first person to get a job in 1992 was 6 months. So we started a company for fun, and it ended up working, so we're still here. In 2004, we really wanted to focus on learning technologies, about 200 people, headquartered on the far east coast of Canada. We actually started developing web learning back in 1996, which was really early. We did that for Pfizer and a drug company. So we were one of the first companies to do that. And just a little bit of, that's our headquarters. So we have a couple of offices, obviously, across Canada and some people in other countries as well. But that's what our building looks like, and that's where we're based. So about maybe 10 years ago, we had global leaders. We were doing a lot of work for corporations. So we were working with Pfizer, Microsoft, Chevron, ExxonMobil, Target, Subway. We really were doing a lot of learning development for companies. A few years ago, I told my board, maybe about 8 years ago, we're going to fire all these clients because we really wanted to focus on where we saw the challenge. And the challenge, we think, And we sort of, and obviously, and I think this is becoming a bigger and bigger and bigger challenge, especially with automation disrupting jobs, is all of these people that are left behind. And we wanted to see how can we develop technology that supports systems that help these people to be gainfully employed, to develop in their careers. So we look a lot, we work a lot with youth, long-term unemployed, immigrants, veterans, and we develop technologies that really help those people to advance and help the systems that work with those people to advance. It was a bit of a crazy move 8 years ago to fire, over a few years, Microsoft and all those guys, but we're really happy we did it. And I think the more time goes on, the more the focus and the energy. I think that this issue of the future of work is the next climate change issue for the world. And I think governments around the world and politicians around the world and the public around the world are really tuned into how do we address these issues. So you've heard some of these statistics, and they vary from organization to organization, and I think that was covered today, so I won't get into them. One of the things, though, that I would highlight is that the average worker in Canada has 15 to 20 jobs. So the idea that their company is going to help develop their skills is not valid. The idea that we trust all the training development, especially small businesses, they don't train their people. So how do you have a productive, efficient workforce that's continuously learning? We all think that you need to do it. There's nobody in this room that would say, no, we don't believe in continuous learning, but there's no technology to support that. It's almost like the healthcare records around the world, they're paper-based, and a lot of countries, of course, are going towards an electronic medical record. That record follows you, and it has your x-rays, it has your blood work, it has your doctor's records, it has your prescriptions. That only makes sense. We want to do the same thing for skills development, because if we're saying it's a lifelong learning and there's no system to track it, then it's very hard to actually preach, to deliver on the promises of lifelong learning. So in Canada, this is just a Canadian context, RBC, Canada's largest bank, says 25% of Canadian jobs are going to be heavily disrupted by technology in the coming decade, and 50% will require completely new skills. And I think that's the challenge that we're facing, but that's in many ways a challenge that's similar to many people, not everybody, but many people in this room. So when you look at who's being affected, the post-secondary systems, and I see a lot of energy on post-secondary education. How do we get them to be relevant? How do we get them to plug to what industry needs? And to be honest, we kind of went around them. And a lot of our solutions, we say, yes, they still have a value. It's very, very hard to get post-secondary to change, and it takes time. And so we've developed complementary systems with industry, where industry says, we want these skills, and how do we get them? And you can use technology today to have industry-validated credentials, not a credential that comes from a college or from a university. Those are still going to happen. They're still there. We're not trying to change that, obviously. But it's much faster to go and look at the skills that sit on top of that. Or for the people that don't go to university and the people that don't go to colleges, how do you get those skills? So so that's where we're involved in alternative ways of getting credentials outside of post-secondary. Globally, 40% of employers are saying they're having problems finding applicants, which I think that was covered today. A lot of the skills that they're looking for, there's not enough people that have them. 19% say it's lack of hard skills, like they don't know how to weld, they don't know how to use computers or carpentry or whatever. But 11% is soft skills. That's an easy target. Soft skills is something you can train outside of the post-secondary system. If you're working in this hotel, you need to have good, which they do, by the way, excellent customer service, excellent people skills, excellent time management, and so on. Those are skills that are independent of any kind of post-secondary education, and they will help with 11% of the gap of jobs that employers can't find. Soft skills are obviously in demand. This is a Manpower study from 2016, 2017. They're saying until 2021, active listening, speaking, critical thinking, are very much in demand, and those are things that you can address outside of post-secondary. In fact, you have to address them outside post-secondary. They don't teach those things in a lot of cases. So workforce is polarizing, and that was covered today. Automation is responsible for 80% of the job losses. Trade issues are only responsible for 20%. So I won't get into politics, but obviously there's a protectionist sort of movement going on now in various places. There's issues with immigration, and there's issues with all kinds of social because people I think are looking for easy answers, but the truth is that automation is responsible for most of the job losses, and if we don't develop skills to deal with that in our workforce, especially, and I actually had the same point as the OECD gentleman, middle skills are disappearing. Middle skilled jobs are disappearing, so they're creating competition in the lower skilled areas. So now the lower skilled jobs are demanding more soft skills, more capabilities, and that's creating a real problem for the people that traditionally were both in middle skills and low skills, and it's creating a lot of anxiety around the world. So high skilled jobs are growing, but not everyone's going to become an engineer or a doctor. We all know that. So again, we're talking about the disappearance of middle skilled jobs and how that's affecting the lower skilled area. And I would say, by the way, I've been reading a lot of research that says pathologists and accountants are next in terms of automation. You don't need, a lot of people would say, I'd rather have a computer analyze my x-ray than a doctor, and at some point that'll happen. So it's not just middle skill, some high skill jobs are going to be disrupted as well. So in the World Economic Forum, I think McKinsey said that there's going to be obviously disruption. I won't cover that. Back to 2012, they were saying, McKinsey was saying, they're one of our clients for their generation initiative around the world. Is education to employment, only 50% of youth surveyed believed that their post-secondary education actually helped them to get a job. And that goes back again to the soft skills gap. So that's really a frightening number, that you go to post-secondary school and you say that half the people that graduate say that their education isn't helping them to get a job. Thomas Friedman, I think, has a book, Thank You for Being Late, a big fan of his. He's a New York Times columnist. He says basically in his research, you can be a lifelong employee, but only if you're a lifelong learner. And that's true. The idea that you're going to be set, even a generation ago, that you're going to be set once you have your credential, you're set, is not true anymore. His estimation or his research says that every 4 years means a complete reskilling. That's how you stay relevant. He thinks it's as much as every 4 years you have to have significantly new skills in order to be competitive. So I keep this up there because I think human knowledge is doubling every 18 months. When I started giving some of this speech a few years ago, it was 18. I think now we're down to 12. It's going to 12 hours within a decade, I believe. So that pace of change is staggering. And I wanted to just use a quick case study on U.S. manufacturing. And the reason I'm using it is to show how it's not about job availability. It's about skills and what's happened. So the U.S. Manufacturing industry shed about a third of their jobs, 4 million jobs in the last decade. I think the decade of the, maybe about 5 years ago, the decade before that. So they shed that many jobs. But today, or back in 2012, 67% of manufacturing executives said that they have a moderate to severe shortage of available workers. So when you think about that, if you just gave up 4 million jobs and you fired all those people over a decade, you think you'd have plenty of labor. But that just speaks to the new skills that are in demand, even in manufacturing. It's not the jobs even a decade ago. If you have those skills and you worked in a factory then, you're still not employable. I always say that if this business didn't work, I did a mechanical engineering degree, and if Blue Drop didn't work, I'd be, within 4 or 5 years, whatever I know would be outdated, and I would be unemployed right now. So it does change that fast. So some OECD data, and again, getting back to the idea that the system should not be just about unemployed people, it should be about career development, because that's really what I think we have an obligation to own and help and support the entire career development of people. If you're just getting them a job, they'll be out of a job soon enough when the technology changes or when things change. You have to help them keep moving. So this is a data that talks about OECD data. I think Canada had 33% of people in their jobs were underqualified to do their jobs. The OECD average is about 20%. You can see some other countries. So those are people that don't have enough skills to do their current jobs. These are people that have too many skills to do their current jobs. They're overqualified. Canada has 35%. And again, the OECD average is around 20. So in Canada, 68% of our workforce is either underqualified or overqualified for their current jobs. An OECD average is 40%. Those are staggering numbers, and that's, again, the challenge that we have to help people to evolve, because you cannot just get, your relevance. This is saying that I've started using, but you know, your relevance now, it used to be a destination. It used to be, I'm going to be relevant once I have my piece of paper from engineering school or from college or from whatever. Now that's just your bless you. Now that's just your ticket. Now that's just how you get in the game. Being relevant is no longer a destination. It's a journey. So if we adapt that mindset that relevance is now a journey, not a destination, then you can, and I'm sure a lot of people here are already doing that, then you can talk about how technology can support it. So how should a modern workforce respond to these challenges? Well, first of all, there needs to be a focus on vocational training in colleges, because a lot of jobs are there that people are looking for, and I know in a lot of developing countries, or some of the developing countries that we've been to, there's a big focus on that. Because they're bringing in, I mean, the Chinese infrastructure investment that's happening now in various countries is they're bringing in labor from China. But if we could get more plumbers and and electricians and welders in those countries, that would create a lot of employment. So it's continuing upskilling for life, on demand, and it's not just upskilling, you know, I'll go back and do a program. People want the upskilling even on the job. And some of the technology that we've developed, and I'll show you an example of that, is how do you use the technology right there on the job to give you the information that you need as you're doing the job. Redefining relevance, which we just talked about. Help workers to be able to keep their credentials and validate them and share them. So again, this is the electronic medical record idea, that every worker has their records after they graduate from any post-secondary or just high school, wherever they stop formal education. They should be able to keep credentials and track them and share them with employers, and we wanted to create that ecosystem, because otherwise we're saying it's important, but it's not tracked. There's nobody following it. You can't measure it. You can't share it. You don't know if the credentials are valid. So how do you do that as a system? Keep your credentials, validate them, and share them with employers. And then micro-skilling, again, skills on demand to support workers that they can take their skills anywhere. So this is when we talk about, this is actually in the construction industry, these would be boxes of certifications that people need for health and safety. So I want to introduce a concept too in Canada, and I think in a lot of other countries, you know, people have to have various regulatory requirements. Those are actually things that either help people get jobs or hinder people from getting jobs. They're either a help or a barrier. So we have a vision or a view in Canada, and we've worked with several provinces on this, that those regulatory requirements, like in order to serve food safely, you have to learn how to handle food. You know, we have very good food here and it's very safe, but people have to be trained in that. Those are skills that actually help people get jobs, or they would be a way to get a job with limited experience. If you could prove you know how to handle food, maybe you can get around that whole cycle of I don't have experience, I can't get a job. Well, maybe you can actually intervene and give people those kinds of skills that make them employer ready right away. So our technology role is basically, you know, we start with access to technology, obviously, and it has to be mobile, and we do a lot of things mobilely. You have to be able to get on-demand upskilling, so get the skills that you need as you're working or as you're about to get a job, not sort of in very small chunks. Virtual job aids that you can take with you on the job, and then credential management for life, so you track all of your credentials through the workforce. So I'm just going to time check here. So basically, there are three things that we do here. There are three things that we do in our solution. And one is regulatory-driven credentials, which I just mentioned. External workforce development portal. So this is basically helping the system, you know, the PESs, with virtual career services, automation, so that, you know, you can channel people into various things. A lot of people have social issues, or, you know, they might be single parents. They might have an inability to come into an office. So why can't we deliver services virtually? And we've developed a lot of this kind of underpinning to help the system do that. And then the government needs data. And I mean, I know Jean-Francois, Canada does a really good job of labor market information, but you need data. You need to see where the skills gaps are. You need to see what people are learning. You need to see where the demand is. So those are the three areas that we have developed into our technology over the last 10 years. So our key platform elements, so this is our we call it a learning record store, where the workforce, we're talking tens of thousands. We just have a contract now, we just signed actually yesterday with Ontario for 2 million workers to track their learning in health and safety credentials throughout their careers. And so we keep that here in the store, and you have to have, the ability to track each worker individually. Then you have to have mobile learning, communities of practice, an intake process that's intelligent to guide people to where they need to go so they're not lined up, which we've seen, especially in our LA project. People are lined up from 7 o'clock in the morning just to find out something they could have found out online. So we can deliver that stuff online, offline learning, and so on. So I'll just, I really would like to show it to you rather than talk about it. But again, I want to stress that one thing that what we've been building, which is very audacious and difficult, and it's early. I mean, we've only got a couple of installations. I don't want to pretend that this is, in use in 200 countries or anything. But what we've been working on is how do you build an ecosystem where everybody plugs in so you have post-secondary data that goes in, you have employer data, being able to get data from employees. Obviously, the workers are the key. Union and industry groups, training providers, so we organize a marketplace of all the training that's available in a province, or like stand-up training that's approved, and then regulators actually plug into it as well. So what we've really built is an ecosystem for all of those groups to come together and basically manage skills at a jurisdictional level, not at a business level, not at a university level, at the entire jurisdictional level. Like I mentioned, the largest implementation will be 2 million workers in Ontario. So these are the programs that we've done in Canada, which I wanted to just share with you a little bit. This is Atlantic Canada over here, and we'll talk a little bit. We have all 4 Atlantic provinces. They're small. Atlantic provinces, Newfoundland is about 500,000 people. Nova Scotia is about 1 million people, very small provinces. Ontario is a large province, about, I think they're the 11th largest economy in the world, and that's just with 2 million workers. So those are the implementations. I'll just take you through an example. So this is one we did 6 years ago in the province of Newfoundland called SmartForce NL. We launched it in 2011. We reached our targets, and I'll talk about 8 months into a 2-year schedule. So the workforce there is about 200,000 people. We have 10% of the workforce online. Learning online today, which we did within a couple of years. They've done 35,000 courses on everything from how to use Excel to communications. All of these online programs are available, and there are ways to upskill people. 70% of the online courses get completed. The industry average is less than 10%. So these are voluntary courses. You don't have to do them. No one's making you do them. So we have 70% course completion. We have 1,700 businesses or municipalities that have signed on. So this was a very, very successful project. We did this, as I mentioned, in 2011. But we made some mistakes. Well, not mistakes. I guess we were learning. First of all, we measured the skills outcomes. So yes, we have improved computer skills. We have improved leadership skills. We have improved some soft skills. But really, we should be looking at employability outcomes, not skills outcomes. At the end of the day, if you believe that giving people these skills will help them get a job, we should be measuring that. So we didn't do that, and we're doing that now in the second round. And the program wasn't built into the employability system, so you really have to build it in so that it's integrated. It's not, a lot of jurisdictions have this idea that, oh, technology's over here. That's your technology solution. You come into our offices, and we'll talk to you about our office stuff, and we'll deal with you there. You can talk to people. But really, you should have a fully integrated approach. And I really liked the messages that we heard this morning, which said that we have it digital first, or digital by design. So you develop a program digitally first, and then you look at the people who will not be able to take advantage of the digital solution. That's the way to design it, not the other way around, where we set up all of these queues and people-driven processes, and then we say, oh, let's add digital over here, and it just lives on its own. That's what we did in Newfoundland. It lived on its own, and that was something that we learned we should fix. So in terms of the vision, the version 2.0, which we're now implementing in the same province, is you have a worker passport. So every worker tracks their credentials for life. We think that that's a critical part of responding to the pace of change. So a worker on their phone, they even have a QR code, like a barcode that you can scan on the job to get on a job site. So every worker has their worker passport. Then they have the ability through the worker passport to get skills on demand as they need them. Then they have the ability to get what we call augmented experience, so we can track competencies that they learn on the job. When we're talking about youth programs, as Jean-Francois said, when we send these kids out to get experience on the job, we should be able to track what competencies they've learned. So we have this ability to support them and track what they've done. Then we look at service delivery optimization. So how is this making the system more efficient? How do we make the system more efficient? And again, the goal is to improve employment outcomes and worker productivity outcomes. So, so basically, the conundrum, of course, is you need experience to get a job, but you need a job to get experience. I'm guessing that's as global as, I don't know what, as sunshine. So some of the things that we're now, as part of this new project that we're looking at, we haven't done this yet, but with the Canada Job Bank, which is a fantastic job bank, we link those jobs with real-time upskilling. So for example, if a restaurant owner is looking for someone, what do they usually do? I'm looking for 2 years experience. I'm looking to have someone come into my kitchen, but they need to have 2 years experience or 1 year experience. What if they could say, and the system goes to those employers and says, look, will you accept someone straight from high school that has a program on workplace productivity? They know how, they've done a training on how to deal with people, how to deal with customers, they've done food safety training. They have these things. So our hope is that you're going to get either you have 2 years experience or you've done this 10-hour online program. And when you've done this 10-hour online program, we can accept you and give you an interview. That's what our hope is, and that's what we're going to test out now. So that's the workplace productivity, any regulatory. In Canada and lots of countries, you need to have certain training to be able to work on a high roof. So what if you had that? Even if just as a laborer, you can't get that job because you don't have the right safety credentials. So they should be available again. As you're applying for a job, you can go in and get that training so that you can say to the employer, I have those things. And then the job seeker would demonstrate that they've done it, and the employers would validate on the job the skills. So I won't get into this here. I mean, that's the full system of what we're doing in the new version of Skills Pass, which is much more comprehensive and much more integrated into the PES. This is what a dashboard would look like for a PES. So they could look at employers and what they've done. They could look at all the training. They could look at gaps and so on. But again, I'd rather show that to you. I won't. And on-the-job competency development, I think, is the new frontier, because people can learn a lot of skills on the job. How do you bring value to that? How do you make that a credential that means something? So we do a lot of tracking on that, and we have graduates now that will go out with phones, and they'll have all the competencies that they need to be able to demonstrate, sort of like an apprenticeship program. And once you can do that on your phone, you can get your boss to actually sign your phone, and you now have a credential that's based on validation by your boss. That's another way to get around sort of the no experience issue. So this is where we've been active around the world. We're just starting to work actually in this region here in Morocco. We're working with a group called EFE, Education for Employment, that's in the Middle East. We've done some work in Kenya, a lot of work in Chile and Peru as well. So this is the kind of work that we've been working on. I did want to just highlight one program because I think it's relevant. The Dream Builder program is really neat because it's really helping a lot of women primarily in Latin America, South America, to start their own businesses. And I think that that's another powerful part of empowering. It was funded by a mining company, very large program. I think right now there's 29,000 women. That's launched a few years ago. It's all online. At the end of this program, they actually end up with a business plan. So they go through the program, women entrepreneurs, and they will end up with a business plan. And the nice thing about this is that it needs to be customized, but the company that funded it, mining company, is making that available for free to anybody that wants it. So if there's anybody that's got an interest in women's entrepreneurship, this program was very, very rich e-learning content, very successful. 50 partners now in 20 countries, really, really powerful, helped a lot of women start their own businesses. That's the EFE thing, I won't talk about that. So let me just get into the demo if I may, if this works. Okay, so first thing I wanted to show you is what we did for Los Angeles. So the Los Angeles system, LA County is the largest county in the United States. And this is a program for the second largest city there, Long Beach, in LA County. So basically you would register, and one of the things that you can do right off the bat to help with inflow and to help with efficiency is you can ask people to, give you some basic information, so they can go in and tell you their their date of birth. If they're born in a certain period of time, they might be eligible for youth. You can ask them about any disabilities they have. You can ask them their level of computer literacy, so if they're frequent computer users and so on. This system then allows you to register, and before you even come into the system, before you visit an actual center, we know something about you. We know where we're going to direct you, so we can help you better. So the first thing is, and this is very common in the U.S., it's actually a regulatory requirement, is that you need to do a course on what the system can do for you. Because I find a lot of places in the world, people don't know what the PES centers can do for you. They don't really understand how they can be helped, the programs that are available. So the first thing that they do before you actually come into the center is that you get a full education on what's available to you. And I'll just actually show you a quick example of the course. So this would show you, and you don't talk to anybody until you finish this course. So there's audio here, which you probably can't hear. So basically these are some of the things that you can do in the center. And let me just see. Okay, it's on. Yeah. So basically you would go in and you would do this, and before you see anybody, you've gotten training. So we don't waste time. People lined up, learning what the programs are. They've actually done a course as part of getting to see someone. So then we go back to here. Then the next thing we have is shortcut for a job. So basically there is programs that we've done where this was done with industry in Los Angeles. So we work with industry to basically say, what is it that you're looking for that you're not getting from post-secondary? And there's hotels and restaurants and construction sites and so on that you would use. So here you would get right in, and the workplace productivity, I think, is 13 courses that we built, and this is a time management issue, which is a big area of concern of. And I'll just show you. So basically, this is a course on how do you prioritize and there's courses on dealing with difficult customers, communications, and so on. One of the neat things that we did, and I would highly recommend this, is that we got people in the business community to be part of the e-learning. So there's videos there from local employers telling you why they don't want to hire you when you misspell their name, or why time management is so important. And then there's also examples of students that were vulnerable youth that couldn't get jobs, and talking about what was it that they learned that actually helped them make the jump. So by getting the business community involved, you can have a much better course experience. So that's that. And then I'll just show you one more thing. So then you have the ability to search job board. So this is a really neat thing. So basically, this is the Canada Job Bank here. We'll just go into it. Actually, I think I already got it open here. So this is a browser extension that we have, so that when you're on the Canada Job Bank, you can find a job that you want, so data warehouse analyst, and then what you can do here is you can launch this extension. I just click this little thing here in the corner, if you can see in the left corner. And what that does is that actually helps candidates that are looking for jobs. It helps them to track their jobs throughout their career. So this is what actually happens. These are the jobs that I'm actually tracking. Some of them from the Canada Job Board, but one of them here from Indeed. I can even go to PepsiCo, and I just went to PepsiCo and I went to Egypt and said, what are they hiring? So they have one job here in purchasing and procurement, and I can actually go into that job and use this tool, and you can see it here. It'll actually fill it all out. It fills out the job that I'm doing, and it helps me to track it, and helps the government to see what you're applying for. So I put in, this is with Pepsi, and it actually scrapes the page, as we would say, and then I can put that I applied, and I can save the opportunity. When I save the opportunity with Pepsi, and I go back to, it's a little bit slow here with the internet, but I can go back here, and then if I go back, you'll see that it'll actually show the Pepsi job is now one of my, there it is right there, where's Pepsi? Right here, Pepsi. You can see it right here. So I just added that job. I can go into the job. I can change it to an interview stage. It actually helps me to track that. I can also go in as a job seeker, and I can go in and I can actually do an email builder. This is one of the coolest things. So I can say I want to send an email to this guy, Emad Riscala, who is a cold email. I don't know him. And I'd like to get his help on industry advice, interview preparation, or so on. And it'll actually create a custom email that I can send to help me in my job search. So it's really about helping the job seeker manage their job search as a job. I mean, there's a great course that Manpower did. Getting a job is a job. So we try to help them treat it like a job. This tool will allow you on any website to go in and grab the information of the job you're applying for from the Canada Job Bank, from Indeed, from Pepsi, and track it so it helps the person organize themselves in their job. So that, I think that there's one more thing I would show you from the LA experience, and that is my application kit. So here's one of the biggest areas I think that I see that, in a very humble opinion, that we see a mistake, and I'm going to call it a mistake because we would all agree. Anybody here done a communication course, you know, public speaking, or anybody here ever done one of those in university or outside? Did they take a video of you and show you what you did? So how do we help people prepare for interviews? We don't take a video of them. We sit down, we bring them, a lot of places I see, they sit here in the audience, and a guy like me would say to them, this is what you need to do for your interview, and this is how you do it, and this is how you whatever. But anybody here who's actually done a communication course that helped them actually had a video recorded of themselves. And so what we do is we actually ask them questions. So this is a job seeker. This is a guy actually from our work, not a real job seeker. And you ask them questions. You know, what was your favorite thing as your last job? Where do you want to be in 5 years? These are things they're going to get. They record them, and they share them with their PES job counselor. And so as he's speaking here, you can see there's messages here telling him, you can't read them, but don't talk about snacks. There's another point where he looks at his phone. Don't look at your phone. So this is a much more compelling way, one-on-one, and you can centralize that service in terms of efficiency. It's not 15 different centers in a country or a province. It could be a group of people that are experts in interview skills that are there getting these videos and then annotating them. Great job reflecting the questions, you know, and then tells them where they made a mistake in 15 seconds, 35 seconds, and so on. So that's again, automating, using technology to your advantage to help people really in their need. So that was it for that. I will show you, oh, sorry, I got to shut him down because he's going to keep going. Okay, that's enough for him. So basically, feedback and review. Okay, so we'll go back. Now, I wanted to show you, I think that's it for that. Now, in the transition between, I'm going to have one more thing here. In the transition, I have to just relaunch. Here it is. Okay. Okay, so basically, I wanted to show you what a job market looks like. So we've created a job market for skills that this is regulatory related skills, but this is, think of it as hotels.com or Expedia or Travelocity. So basically these are all the training courses that you can do as a job seeker. These are things that if you do them, you can get on a job site. So you have fall protection, which is working at heights. You can actually get a job that you can't otherwise get without it. Whether you have education or post-secondary or not, if you're working on a roof in Canada, you need this particular course. So basically, it's just like hotels.com. You can pick the course, the region, so I want to do it in this city. You know, you can pick the date, I want to do that, just like booking a hotel room. And this is integrated with 200 training providers. It gives you the price. You can say that you're going to attend. And when you attend, you can, so this gentleman here has an account, Donal. Just going to make sure, is it Donal, was last name too, Tom, or no? No, okay, Donal. So, sorry, I can't read here. Donal at, so basically he's going to, he's going to actually just register for this course, and I'll show you how neat it is that this will create a class list for every one of the 200 training providers. Okay, so basically this is his unique identifier. So this is this gentleman's, this worker's information. He saves it and continues. He has a learn. Okay, and he can confirm his reservation. Oh, you can actually ask him why he's taking the training. So he might say, "I'm a student." So he's in, and then basically you can see his learning profile. So this is all of the training that he's doing. It will show him what he's registered for, and these are, again, hundreds of training providers. This could be government training as well, government classroom training, so you can track it. And at the end of the day, he will also get the ability to look at his training records and print his card, so this is what he has already done. It'll remind him if something is expiring. He can look at his certificate, he can email it to an employer, and this is one of the neat things. The employers in this province are on the system, so there's 2,000 employers. He can actually add, when he adds Bell Canada can now see the certifications that he has. If that's his employer, they can actually see what he's done, and he can remove the employers. These are all the people that he approves to see his information. So again, when I mentioned earlier it's an ecosystem, you know, that's what I was talking about, that the full system. So I think I got one more thing. When we talked about on the job, so this is the instructor module. Okay, so the instructor module basically is, okay, I hope this works. Oh. Okay. No, it's not going to work. Sorry, just make sure, because we had it all set up. But what I was going to show you, and maybe I won't bother with this one, is the instructor actually in the training school will get a list of all the students, and they'll approve them. And the minute that they approve them, they go right into the record, into the learning history of the individual. So that's what I was going to show you. So there's one last thing. I just want to show you the on-the-job thing, and I think I still have... Yeah, okay, I've got 2 minutes left. 2 minutes? Okay, thank you. So the last thing I'll show you is on-the-job tracking. So this is... Yeah, so basically you can help people as well. So if you're a welder in one province, sometimes what you need in another province, you can build career paths to help people figure out, okay, I'm a welder right now in Newfoundland, but I want to be a welder in Manitoba. So right now I have 25% of the requirements to be a MIG welder. I can also say what requirements do I need to be a nuclear welder. So we can help young people to get a clear vision of what are the qualifications, like what are the training that they need. What is it, the training that they need? You have to have this certificate, that certificate. You have to do medical tests. You have to do an alcohol and drug test. It allows them to register for it. So we're making it easy for people to track what training they need. So if he switches, I want to work now in a different province, Manitoba, his requirements just changed from 25%. He's got a little bit more of what he needs for Manitoba in this case. And then he can launch online courses. If there's an online course, he can register for things. And at the end of the day then, we also track on-the-job skills. So in the on-the-job skills, technical competencies, so I just wanted to show you this because I think it's very powerful. We can send people out now when they get a job, a work term, a practice period. First of all, we can send them out with information on what it is that they need to be able to do the job well. So these are all competencies that you need to be able to do to be a mechanical technician. If there's any information that you need to remember, you can provide it to them right there on the job. This can come from a college, this can come from a program that's developed separately from a college. So they need to be able to dismantle a pump, and this actually shows them all of the steps that they have in order to, so you can take tools out and you know, start showing that you know how to do the steps in sequence, and you go step 1, step 2, step 3, and so on. So that's very important because you can embed training, micro-training into it. So finally, just to conclude, they can actually say, okay, I know how to dismantle a reciprocating pump. and they can say, I'm ready to be evaluated by my boss. I know how to inspect clearances. I know how to inspect this. These are all the competencies that you need. Then you can request an evaluation from your boss. In a lot of cases then, the student, the worker, will have their phone. They will have these things on the phone, obviously, and then they can request an evaluation now. So now they give the phone to their boss. This is what their boss sees on their phone. So then they can rate them satisfactory. I think they know how to dismantle reciprocating. I don't think they know how to inspect clearances. So I'm going to say that I'm going to assign them training. I want them to have more training or more whatever, needs improvements, satisfactory. Then they can rate their skills for problem solving. So basically help track all of the things that are needed and so on. And then at the end of the day, the boss will actually go in, add their name and information, so EMAD, I won't do it, EMAD, put in the email address, and actually sign the phone of the student, submit approval, and then the government agency, the PES, will actually get a record of all the competencies that have been validated by their boss. So that's it. That was what I wanted to show you. Thank you very much. I'll get back to...
Tout d'abord, j'aimerais remercier Imad pour une excellente présentation. Je suis franchement très impressionné par jusqu'où on peut aller avec les applications. Je ne croyais pas qu'on pouvait faire de choses aussi élaborées et détaillées et pouvoir les documenter de la façon dont on nous démontre de façon pratique, véritablement, qu'est-ce qu'on peut faire pour nos travailleurs. Alors, c'est absolument fascinant. Merci beaucoup. Alors maintenant, nous sommes à la deuxième partie de la présentation avec M. Metzger qui va nous démontrer une perspective un peu plus française sur l'approche de e-learning. Alors, merci beaucoup.
Merci. Hello, everyone. First of all, I'm really glad to be here and to share with you our passion for learning, digital learning, of course, the digitalization and employability. First thing first, maybe I'm going to introduce myself. I am Henry Metzger. I'm Director of Business Development at Open Classrooms. We're a French company, and we're based in Paris. And I'm also, beside Open Classrooms, I'm also a speaker for Liaison Sociale to train and help on HR transformation, the HR department. That way I can have the best feedbacks from HR about what the skills are needed on the market and how we can help them digitalize the HR department. Now let's talk a little bit about Open Classrooms. Open Classrooms, first, who we are. We are the leader in Europe and Africa on online-based training. We have about 4 million users per month using our platform, and we train on digital skills mainly to help the transformation of the job and all the skills that are needed on the market, which is most of them the digital skills. Let me give you a quick glance about how Open Classrooms was born, because the story is kind of amazing and it's worth telling it. So, and you will understand our value. Just the main thing to understand is our main value, our mission is accessibility, to make education more accessible in a geographical terms, in time terms, but also accessible to people that are far from the job market, like refugees or job seekers. And the thing is, Open Classroom was born, the two co-founders, Pierre Dubuc and Mathieu Nebra, are today 30 years old, and they started Open Classrooms as a personal project when they were 13 years old. So, can you imagine a child, I would say, that tall, who started to create a platform, because they were thinking at that time, it was in 2000 where the website was starting to pop up everywhere on the internet, but they couldn't find a training that will really help them to learn how to code, to create their own website. So they said, okay, I have knowledge. My neighbor has knowledge, and everyone could help each other and share their knowledge in order to help each other to learn mostly how to code in this case, but to share the knowledge. So they created an online platform, an open source, in order that everyone could share their knowledge to learn how to code. And the name was Le Site du Zéro, meaning the website of the zero, because it was you can start from scratch and learn how to code. And it was a huge success in France, in France, with 2 million users per month. And yesterday, I had a meeting with Capgemini Morocco, and the senior manager of the tech team told me, the Site du Zéro, yes, of course, I used to work my exam on Le Site du Zéro. And so it was a huge community of really, how to say, people that were really dedicated to open classrooms, to this shared economy. And it was totally free of charge. It was just a sharing economy. So they did this for, I would say, maybe 10 years, and the idea, of course, when they created this, is to make the knowledge accessible. And then we grow on, and when they arrived at the edge of the job market because they were graduated, they said, okay, we have a huge community, a platform which is really big, and we help people to get some, to have education more accessible. Let's do a job of this. So we decided to stop Le Site du Zéro and to become open classrooms, to be more international, and also to stop the open source tutorials and to create content with academics and with corporates, with a vision of, okay, our main mission is to make education accessible, but what do we mean by education? We mean employability. And now our mission is the accessibility, but to employability. And the only KPI we are looking every month at open classrooms is how many job seekers we put into the, how many people are we giving job to. And so we have a big accountant, a machine saying this is a new guy from open classrooms who has the job. And I'll tell you how far we went on the employability. So our mission is accessibility to employability. But our main challenge was how to be sure that online, fully online, you will be employable. What pedagogical model could ensure that you will be employable at the end of your training? So we internalized all the supply chain of the training, meaning we have a huge part of our team is instructional designers that are working on the pedagogical sequences in order to be employable at the end. Then you have the content creation. We have our studios that are in this. It's the education team. They are in the same team, and they're working really close together in order that all the instructional design is really closely related to the content production. And then we have the tech platform that we have the tech team that are creating the tech platform. So we have internalized everything, every step of the training in open classrooms in order we have the best learning experience. Because we strongly believe that digital learning is efficient if the UX, your user experience, the learner experience, is valuable. And we went that far that we are able to deliver certifications on open classrooms, meaning you have an example is on courses, courses of how to learn, how to develop, to code in HTML5. It's a 20 hours courses, and at the end you will have a certification if you succeed and pass the exams. So we have certification, and we went even further, which is deliver academic degrees fully online that are state endorsed. It was a big challenge to go to the Ministry of Education in France and saying, okay, we would like to launch the first fully online degree. And we make the proof of concept about 2 years ago, I would say, and it was a huge success. So it was for only 3 degrees, 3 paths, and it worked that well that now we have 30 degrees online, and we will have at the end of this year 50 paths to 50 degrees fully online. So in order to make this possible, to make the possibility to deliver state endorsed degree fully online, we created a unique digital learning model, which is based on a project approach. Because the idea is it's a fully online degree, meaning you can get your data scientist degree from one of the top engineer school in France, Centrale Supélec in this case. So you can get your degree from your sofa in the middle of the jungle in China. And to do this, we are based on projects. To get your degree, you have to do projects. For example, if you want to be a project manager specialized in marketing digital, this degree, you have 6 projects to do, to make, to achieve, and to present. And these projects are, it could be 100 hours of work, and it's professional project. In order you already in your job field. And to make your project, you can have the content, which is the courses with certification. For example, in the project management degree, you will have a project to create an online website. To make this, you will have maybe the course I told you about, which is learn to code in HTML5, 20 hours. So to make the project, you have content, courses with certification. Then you have the mentorship. The mentorship is you are followed, individual following with a mentor, which is a professional of the job you are training on. And we prefer to have professional guys, professional mentors that are on the job and not trainer or teachers, in order they give the feedback from the job and get the soft skills that are useful on the job. And the mentorship is pretty strong. It's like 1 hour on a weekly basis, and it will help you to use the content to make the projects. It is here to help you achieve your projects. And this individual follow-up is pretty strong, and the core model of our open classrooms on how we are so good in employability is by the projects, learning by doing, and the mentorship. And then you have also the social learning with the community, because we have a virtual campus where you can discuss with your team, with all the learners on open classrooms, the students, and also all the mentors. It's a huge community who are discussing online. So with this model, we understood that we were strongly committed in employability, and we were able to really provide employability through training on open classrooms. And how do we make this possible, and what is our commitment on employability? We went that far that we have a job guarantee, which is if you are graduated from open classrooms and within 6 months after you've been graduating on open classrooms, you don't have a job that fits to the training you had your degree on, we will refund the training. It was a big challenge, and it was also a big commitment, but it's first in order that we are sure to be employable, that the learner experience will be good enough, and then it was also because we're pretty sure you're gonna have a job at the end. Why? Because first, we are creating content and degrees from the skills that are on demand on the market. Meaning, we are studying the market with HR, with the public services, and in order to be sure that the degree we will train you on, there is some jobs at the end. And the idea was, and the other part of this is also that our unique model that is based on projects and mentorship make you really operational on the job. So if we prepare you, train you on a job, on skills that we know that are pretty on demand on the market, and we train you well enough to be operational, you will get a job. So for now, we never had to refund any one of our students. They all have a job. And the other thing that, in order to be sure that you will have a job, is of course the soft skills and hard skills, the technical skills that you will need, mostly in digital skills, but also that we need to help our students to integrate the job market. And to do this, we use mentorship to coach our student to find a job, and to find a job that will fit their personality and their skills. So we help, for example, how do I create my resume? How do I position myself in an interview? How do I search my job in a geographical area? All this kind of stuff in order to help you to integrate the job market. And with this, with the technical skills, with the operational on the job, and following up on how to search and find a job, we are able to have a promise that is the job guarantee. And we went again a little bit further, saying, okay, we provide job guarantee, but we had this crazy thought that it was, first of all, there is a mismatch between the job market, the skills that are on demand on the market, and the people that are trained on the traditional education system, we'll say. For example, there is a huge lack of developers, and there isn't enough developers that are trained in order to fill these jobs. So we had this crazy thought that was, okay, what do we do if we reverse the process? The current process is you're starting your job, you're starting to study in schools. When you are graduated, then you're looking for a job, hoping that you will find a job. And we said, okay, we will reverse the process. We'll go to the companies saying, what do you need? Okay, I need 100 developers for the two next years, and I struggle to find them. Okay, we are creating the path in order to train these 100 developers, because we know 100 developers at Capgemini, meaning there is 30,000 developers that are needed in other companies. But the idea is to go to the company and take the order of the profile they are needed and they are struggling to find, then to create the path, and then to source the candidates in order they have a job at the end. So they're starting the training, they already have a job. So the idea is, let's take the example of Capgemini for the sake of the discussion on the 100 developers. Okay, I need 100 developers in the next 2 years. So they pre-engage on these 100 developers. We are just checking that the skills the training we're gonna provide them is really aligned with the skills they need, with Capgemini needs. And then we're gonna source the 100 developers through job seekers and employed. They're gonna start the training on open classrooms, but on the job already at Capgemini in this case. And then at the end, when they graduated, they are fully employed at Capgemini. And this is the job supply chain. It's online apprenticeship. And I took the example of the developers, but we are mostly focused on the new jobs or job in transformation, like data, all the jobs about data, big data, data scientist, data analyst, UX designer, marketing, but marketing digital. So all that kind of jobs. And we have degrees on new jobs like data scientist, DevOps, or UX designers. But we have also I would say the traditional jobs, but reviewed on the digital lens. For example, in HR, being a manager of learning and development, but always with these new skills about what is going on this job, what is the transformation on a skills point of view of the jobs in the digital era. And we strongly believe that this job supply chain will be really efficient, first to align the training, the people trained to the skills that are needed on the market, and also to help people unemployed to be employed and to get a job. And okay, it's weird because there is the last slide, which is maybe one of the most important. This slide was about how we work with public employment services. And we offer, as you understood, we started, and we still are, our main mission is to be accessible, the accessibility. So we said, okay, we need to go further and to keep in mind that we want to make education more accessible to those who don't have access to education and to employability. So we made a big step 3 years ago with Pôle Emploi, which was, okay, we're gonna offer for free to all the job seekers online certification on our content. Meaning if you're a job seeker, you can have access for free to all of our content and courses with a certificate. And the idea is to help the job seekers to get more skills and to get certifications in order to get a job. And it was a huge success. We trained about 60,000 job seekers and helped thousands of them to get a job. And it was that a success, this mission to make education more accessible. And we launched it a few months ago, and we already have, it's pretty new, announced pretty recently, that Google.org, the foundation of Google, invested 1 million euros in openclassrooms.org, our foundation, in order to train 100,000 people from the gig economy platform, the platform workers like Uber and that kind of profile. So, and we hope that it is just that we're just getting started, because we really think that we can help people far from the job market to get job and to get valuable skills that are on demand on the market. Thank you very much.
Glad to meet you. I'm Yeon Sun Jung from Korean Employment Information Service. CASE is a government institution affiliated with Korean Ministry of Labor and Employment. Today I will talk about HRDNet, Korea's information network of vocational skill development training. I'm going to tell you what kind of role HRDNet is playing and what development plans we have in the context of increasing job training via e-learning. Korean e-learning users are increasing. A survey reports that the portion of e-learning learners among internet users jumped from 53.3% in 2012 to about 60% in 2016. Still, most learners are school students in the age group of teenagers and 20s, but currently, the number of adult learners is increasing rapidly, in particular in the age group of 30s and 40s. As shown in this graph, e-learning ratio has risen sharply in vocational skill development training since 2015. Since 2014, the ratio of e-learning has exceeded indoor training in employers' training support. As of last year, the ratio of e-learning to indoor training is about 60% to 40%. Korean government operates 7 networks for employment information services, which include WorkNet, Job Search Portal, Employment Insurance Network, and HRDNet. HRDNet is a portal that provides job training information to job seekers and workers, and it is also online training hub via e-learning, e-training. This is HRDNet overview. HRDNet launched its service in 2003. It is online portal and training information network, as well as it is a online administration system to approve training courses, pay training allowances, guide and supervise training courses. So every process related to vocational training supported by government is taking place via HRDNet. This picture shows the current status of HRDNet. It has grown rapidly for 15 years. Last year, 41,900 training courses were registered, and 4,144 training institutions provided training to 682,073 trainees via HRDNet. This is HRDNet main page. Job seekers and workers are able to search and apply for all the government-supported training courses here. It has a variety of search functions, so users can search with terms such as their interest, desired jobs, or residence. Even they can get recommendation of particular courses. HRDNet is a kind of vocational training hub that allows users to search all the training courses available both on and offline. At this one-stop service ranging from search to application for training, users can get training information associated with relevant recruitment, enjoy a variety of free contents, and create personalized learning and career planning maps that enhance their job skills. Let's take a closer look at HRDNet one-stop service. As of March this year, more than 300 online training courses are registered at HRDNet. When users search for and click on a course of interest in HRDNet, the corresponding training provider's website is linked directly. Here, users can view the details of the training process, preview it, and apply for the course. In other words, at HRDNet, users can do everything at once, from search to application for the course via link. Next, HRDNet shows training courses with relevant information. For example, I searched for a course on career counseling. In addition to the relevant training courses, the search results also show information such as associated certificates, job opportunities, majors, free e-learning courses, and training videos. We can see there are 375 recruitment announcements associated with the career counseling. And we are able to take relevant e-learning courses on HRDNet without fee. Various free e-learning courses are provided, ranging from basic job skills to job interview skills. 122 courses are available on HRDNet now. This is a course of preparing English job interview, in which I can take a lecture and practice the interview by recording my responses. But as many speakers mentioned, due to the first industrial revolution, there are also rapid changes in the world of work and education. Automation and AI will enhance productivity and economic growth, but millions of people worldwide may need to switch occupations or upgrade their skills. So the life cycle of knowledge learned in schools becomes shorter and shorter. A new learning system to increase employability is needed. Therefore, it is time for a change of paradigm in job training, especially in e-learning. Another driver is the challenge in educational world caused by IT technology. Online courses that are accessible to anyone, anytime, anywhere are suitable for learning about rapidly changing techniques and knowledge. In particular, MOOCs have started the education revolution. For example, Coursera, founded by Andrew Wang and Daphne Koller, provides over 2,000 courses from 149 universities worldwide. Udacity, in collaboration with IBM, Amazon, Google, provides nano-degree program for IT developers. According to a survey by UPenn, about 80% of the students enrolled in MOOCs already have a bachelor's degree, and about 50% of students are full-time workers. That means that people study not just for their degree, but for upgrading their skills on MOOCs. So MOOCs are not will be, but already have been a gateway to learn new technology. In Korea, there are active moves to cope with these kind of changes in the world of work and education. First, the left side, there is a project to build a vocational training platform to cope with rapid technological changes and to allow anyone to acquire new technology and knowledge anytime and anywhere. The project, named K Vocational Education and Training MOOC, KVET MOOC, plans to build a vocational training cloud platform for lifelong vocational skills development and to activate learning for new technologies. The second project, the right side, is to build an integrated job information platform. Currently, there are the Training Information Network, the Employment Insurance Information Network, and the Job Search Information Network, and HRDNet, separately in Korea's Employment Information Network, which will be integrated and linked into big data so as to upgrade employment service. This is the vision and strategy of KVET MOOC. It will help development of lifelong competency through tasks such as building a single distribution channel of a variety of training contents, activating e-learning and e-training using a variety of training methods, and offering knowledge sharing and community service. For example, unlike traditional e-learning, which focuses on knowledge transfer unilaterally, KVET MOOC will be able to promote learning service and method in a more advanced way. Users can learn the latest technologies in a more efficient and proactive manner through social learning that maximizes interaction among learners. Learning counseling via chatbot and live seminars. Let's take a look at the second project named Advanced Integrated Employment Information Platform. Data-driven decision-making is crucial for lifelong vocational competency development. Currently, trends in education and training and labor market are being reflected in the internet through platform. In job-related digital platforms, for example, LinkedIn or Monster, information such as employers' demand for capacity, jobs in high demand, required skill levels, career profiles of job seekers, education background, and capacity levels are transparently open to public and accumulated into a big data over time. If we have access to this meaningful information based on big data analysis of user characteristics and usage pattern, we can support individual decision-making on investment in education and training, in-depth counseling on career development, and establishment of vocational competency development policy. To that end, it gets more and more important to build infrastructure for data integration and analysis. This is why Korean government has started a project to build a platform linking and integrating relevant networks of job search information, employment insurance information, and training information. The purpose of this project is to provide infrastructure for analyzing big data on hiring, training, and labor market movements by integrating and linking employment information networks. If we establish a real-time monitoring system for the supply and demand in employment according to type of occupation by crawling job search information in job portals, for example, it is possible to grasp the type of jobs or duties and occupations that are in high demand real-time, based on which we can support policy decision-making for job competency development. The chart on the left is IT job market status on WorkNet, and the right is analyzed data according to specific IT jobs. According to the data, website designer is more needed than database managers. Through such integrated information and analysis, it is possible to grasp which task is high demand and reflect it in the training plan. By analyzing big data of the employment information platform, personalized service for training can be further moved. If we can collect personal traits, competency, and career information of individuals and analyze them through big data to know how similar groups were trained and what career path they went through, it is possible to provide optimal personalized training, counseling, and online individual recommended service. So, if these projects succeed, we can expect the following effects. Workers and job seekers can increase their employability by continuously and effectively learning the skills business world need. In particular, this project can encourage the small and medium enterprises to participate in job training of their employees. So government can reduce labor market mismatches. Thank you. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Alors, merci à nos trois discoureurs, nos trois présentateurs qui nous ont fait chacun dans leur domaine d'expertise respectif une superbe présentation. Avant que je fasse peut-être une petite synthèse, le temps est court. Officiellement, la session va se terminer dans 8 minutes. S'il y a des questions, je préférais les prendre immédiatement pour que nous puissions avoir une occasion pour le panel de s'adresser à vous. Alors, if people have questions, now would be the time. So anybody wants to raise an issue or a follow-up question? Yes. Monsieur à la droite.
Merci beaucoup. Je suis Edmond Moussou du service public d'emploi du Togo. Et le développement qui a été fait tout à l'heure, sur lequel nous avons quelques débuts d'affaires avec Open Classroom et également de l'intérêt pour nos amis du Canada et de Corée, et nous pose de vous exprimer le souhait que les SPE de l'Afrique doivent être accompagnés par l'AMCEP pour pouvoir avancer, et avec cette coupure de ce qu'on appelle la fracture numérique, qu'on puisse avancer quand même et régler les questions de formation professionnelle pour être en lien avec le marché du travail au niveau local et au niveau international. Donc c'est juste un commentaire positif pour encourager nos collègues à travers l'AMCEP à nous assister. Françoise est là, et donc ça va être une grosse requête de nous autres pour l'AMCEP. Merci beaucoup.
Est-ce que certains des panélistes veulent réagir? Non? Peut-être une autre question dans la salle s'il y en a? D'autres questions? Other questions? Oui, monsieur?
Hi, great. Thank you very much to all of you. Really great presentations and very prescient today. Most public employment services, most employment services really struggle to measure return on skills investment. We heard from Ms. Chung that in Korea now there's an effort to kind of link data to better measure that. You talked about the barcode, which I very much liked. A very brief sentence from each of you on how, or the key challenges you face to measure that return on investment, and how particularly small and medium-sized enterprises are proving to be easier or more difficult to engage using e-learning rather than traditional training methods. So two rather complicated questions, I'm afraid, but they are central, I think, to the success of your endeavors. Thank you.
Right. I'll start with the second question. I think, you know, the elephant in the room for us with training and skills development is that small businesses invest very little money in formal training, as we know. So, and they create, in most countries, they create most of the jobs. So what we found, sort of working in different places around the world, and especially in Canada and the US, is that the large employers do have a way to, they have programs to develop competencies and development and so on. So small business is the promised land of this area, because they don't develop their people or their workers very much or very well, and they create most of the jobs. We found that they're hungry for it. They really are hungry for it. What they want, though, is they want it to be collaborative. They don't want to have something that is delivered to them that doesn't meet their needs. And frankly, that's a lot of their experience with the colleges and the universities. They go to these sessions and they basically end up getting the same product, which is an education that doesn't meet their needs. So I think that if you bring them in, work with the boards of trade, the chambers of commerces, industry associations, that's a way to reach the small businesses. You make them part of whatever the e-learning development is going to be, and they endorse it. So the credibility of the credential is not X college or X university or X PES even. It's actually, the credibility is the local chamber of commerce or the local industry group. Once you have that as the credibility and they're part of the content, I think they adopt it, and I think that that's where a lot of the wins are. In terms of your first question, I think that that's actually
Thank you.